book costs $13.95. If you're in the book, it costs you $11. The magazine is $18 a year for 4 issues and holiday supplements that are just fantastic, and that'll make your mailbox really happy. 18 bucks, so you can do that afterwards. Thank you all for coming, and I'm going to call Jen Laurie Goldman up. Each of our prize winners is going to read 2 poems, and then all of the others are going to read 1. Come on.
I mean, this is so weird to be here in a real synagogue, you know? It definitely affects my choice of what I'm going to read tonight, I have to say. Thank you so much, all of you, for being here. This is very moving for me. I won't cry. Before I even read, I have to say I really want to thank Larry Bush and Jewish Currents for establishing this prize. This is the first time they've done it, and now I know we're neighbors, and so for that, it's such a gift. And to Helen and Henry Stolley, who honored Helen's parents, Alexander and Dora Raines, naming this prize after them. And I have to give a kiss on the cheek virtually to Gerald Stern, because his poetry has moved and inspired me for so long. And I have to say it's really good to be a prize winner. I'm really grateful to my sweetheart Catherine, who's here, and my daughter Maya, who's not here because she goes to college, thank goodness, because they called me prize winner for the last couple of months. You can stop now, okay? You can stop now. So I'm going to read 2 poems tonight, as Larry said, and I just have to say that the poem that Jerry picked, before he picked it, I was at a reading in Brooklyn, and I was reading this poem, and after I finished, it was, you know, at a small little bar. That's what we usually get. You know, you read to 3 or 4 people, and that's a poetry reading, so this is also kind of remarkable to have so many people. But I finished reading the poem, and there was this thud, and a man had fallen off a bar stool. He wasn't drinking. He'd fallen off his bar stool, and we had to call 911, and he had to be resuscitated, and luckily we had a poet who's also a doctor in the room. You know, these are things. And, you know, it took a while, like 45 minutes, and this was the first poem that I read, and they took him to the hospital, and there was a lot of anxiety and worry about him. And when I got back up to, you know, the reading must go on, you know, I said, I'm never reading that poem again. And then it ends up winning the prize. So I thought, oh my God. So I hope everyone to stay in your seats. Please. All right. It's kind of fun to read my poem out of a book. Any publishers here, please see me after. At the Cubbyhole Bar for Deb, retired New York City police captain. 2 martinis up with olives, you tell me stories about your father dead from AIDS, his late-night fishing pal dead from the same thing. Your mother worried she'd caught it. No, Mom. Pops didn't touch her for 20 years. You're okay. Once after she tried to force you to eat liver and onions, you threw Barbie and Ken down the stairs. As they plunged, you made them call out, I'd rather die than eat liver and onions. And your mom came out of the kitchen crying, tripped on the tangled limbs at her feet. When the planes hit, you were there. Saved your men, the whole squad, and they weren't even yours. A buddy asked you to cover his shift so he could spend the day with his kid. You say, all the guys are getting cancer, in the lungs, the stomach, in your case, the breasts. The first lumps got cut out, but more are growing. You can feel them. That morning, after the buildings buckled, a brown skirt of cloud billowed up. You saw her, a bleached blonde in purple satin shirt, no body below the waist. Thought how a human head weighs 8 pounds. Lifted that weight of a newborn. Sipped the bag. You wanted to be a cop because you hated cops. At the Canal Street barrier, a lady pleads to run home, get her dog. You said, no one below Canal. But she promised the risk was all on her. You knew it didn't work that way. Spoke into her face. Come back with that dog. Bring him this way so he can lick my cheek. I wrote this poem very recently. This is National Poetry Month. Some of you might know, and today is the last day of Poetry Month. And so I've been part of a group writing a poem a day. We call it the 30-30 Project, and it's very intense, and we share each other's work. And I felt like my first poem of National Poetry Month I wanted to dedicate to Gerald Stern, which I did. And so I started to read through his work and think which one of his poems do I want to kind of somehow walk in his very large shadow, the little footprint. And he has a poem called Grapefruit, which is this crazy, wild poem about a grapefruit. So to honor him, I've also called my poem Grapefruit. When I eat a grapefruit, I peel the whole thing, then find a way in. Thumbs pulling open the fruit to reveal its sections, sharp pink, still encased by inner rind. The slick liquid runs down my palms and forearms, a sticky scene of mayhem and grin. Juice dripping from the chin to the table. Maybe there's a plate or napkin, though grapefruit cares nothing for being contained. Sprays like a hot day sprinkler on a running child, like the first uncorked pour of bubbly foaming over the rim. Or the Hudson in a storm, how it waves its raging finger, rises up on the streets, floods homes, and traps a man in a garage as he waits for his shift to end. And there, the river finds its lowest point, that place filled with cars and one man from Ghana, waiting for his day to be over, needing the work to bring his wife and children over the ocean. And into that gape, water rises fast. The door slams, and the rescue team comes in wetsuits, slick black caps, and flashlights. And though they blow up a raft and paddle down the street, though they dock at the garage entrance and try to enter, though they call and call for the man, hearing water and only water, seeing the maw guzzling its fill, gulping the river as the whale took its Jonah, the rubber suits retreat, drift back to fire engines and dry land gawkers, until the next day, when the river returns to its banks, sheepish and repentant, a child drained of fury tantrum. Only then can Anthony Nar be delivered, full of sorrowful river, and later the wrecked and swollen cars towed out. And still the garage remains shuttered against business, against anything but flower bunches and a city sign condemning the space I see in the morning as grapefruit bursts its skin, rivulets my neck, such a sticky, innocent mess, a ritual morning mess made while watching the street, keeping an eye on that river.